Hello, this is Heath Dweft, and I listen to Raconteurs News.
And welcome to Raconteurs News preview for this week. It's the 25th of March 2018. My name's Jason Holmes, and you're listening to us either on the Facebook Live or on Spreaker.com/users/Raconteurs News or on RaconteursNews.com. So it's our usual Sunday afternoon thing where we get together and we talk about what's coming up in the week to come. And so I hope everyone's had a great weekend. I just want to introduce the guys I'm joined with tonight. A big thank you to, first of all, introduce Paul Webster. How's your weekend been, mate?
Brilliant weekend. Brilliant. Absolutely top. It's been a few events, but other than that, everything's been really good this weekend, Jason. Thanks.
Excellent. And also in the we're going to start calling ourselves the four grumpy middle-aged white dudes, and I think this is probably how the format's going to go from here on in to a certain degree anyway. But Aid, how you doing, mate? Aid Hardy is joining me as well. How you doing, mate? All right.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Got myself a cup of tea, so I'm good.
Excellent. And also not forgetting the one and only, my co-host, my side saddle man, my side partner. I don't know. How you doing, mate? All right.
Yeah, I'm good, Jay. Thanks. Yeah, I had a nice, quiet weekend. I had a very busy week. Absolutely shattered. I felt as miserable as sin all day yesterday. So I'm pleased we didn't do this yesterday. But I woke up this morning to the sun shining. I sat with the balcony door open. It was 20 degrees where I was sat, and I just sat there and had a joint, and the day started perfectly.
Beautiful, and that's just how it should be starting as well. And a big hello to everybody who's in the chat room as well. We got John Hulls in there. Crappy Leeds has been in there at some point. So hello to all you people out there who are in the chat room and joining us for our preview. So we've got quite a week lined up. I think probably we should perhaps talk about what we've got lined up this week. And ideally, on Monday we've got a guest, and it's going to be us four. We're all going to be joining in on this, and our guest will be none other than Andy. Tell us, because I've forgotten. I've got a terrible memory. But it's a guy who doesn't live like that. Nobody lives like he does, does it?
Nobody lives like Owen.
Yeah, well, that's it. Paul commented about how he got a friend recently who was living off grid, with no electric, no running water, and all that sort of thing. And somebody posted in Facebook words to the effect of, "You're full of shit, Webby. Nobody lives like that." So I just commented, "Well, I know him as well," but I thought I'd leave it at that. Owen's volunteered to come on and have a chat to us tonight. I notice he's been a regular listener recently, and I know that there are people who are listening to the show who are actually in the process of setting up to move abroad. So I mean, I've lived abroad quite a bit in my time. You have, Jason. So it'll be an interesting conversation, and hopefully we might be able to point a few people in the right direction and keep them away from some of the pitfalls that you make when you start a new life in a new country.
Yeah, well, the AD's thinking about that at the moment. In fact, I think he's planning to do it. So, well, what's your take on that, AD? I see with your hand raised there.
Yeah, I mean, I've never made a sort of secret of it that I just want out of the Matrix. And I had an experience. I went over to Thailand last year, and I know it's got a lot of cliches, but a lot of people there have got nothing, yet they all walk around with a smile on their face.
Seriously, you know. I know, it's It's just all the connotations that come with that area. Exactly what you were saying then. As soon as you said Thailand, which has got something, I had to raise an eyebrow because it's the first thing that people think, isn't it? But you're right. People don't live like we do, yet people who live like we do over here feel like you could never live without it. I mean, to a certain extent, I feel the same, but
there's two things really that, I mean, I'm sat here, I'm surrounded by furniture and I don't know, possessions that are supposed to make me feel happy. And, everybody on my street's the same, and yet everybody walks around looking miserable. And you go out there, and they've got nothing other than the sunshine and, and they're all happy. But then the other, which, you get quite envious of, and the cost of living out there, even as a tourist, where it's most expensive, is a fraction of what it is here. But then the other thing is that when you say to somebody, even, I'm going on holiday, I won't be here for a couple of weeks, and they go, where are you going? Expecting you to say Tenerife, Greece, Crete, Cyprus, or Mexico if you've got a lot of money, and you say Thailand, and they go, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They wag the finger, don't they?
Somebody says, what are you doing today? I'm working from home. Oh yeah, that old chest. So, well, have you ever been to Thailand? And everybody says no. Whereas if somebody's actually been to Thailand, and you say, I'm going on holiday, I won't be out for a couple of weeks, and they go, where are you going? I'm in Thailand. Cool. I've been there, and what I found was, and I don't blame you, I'm pleased for you, and I hope you have a great time. It's only ever the people that haven't been, and it's a bit like the whole thing in the world that we live in, when we try to suggest to them, government isn't really real, money isn't real, and all the rest of it, they go, oh yeah, that old chestnut, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, I looked at it now.
I wouldn't have minded being called a conspiracy theorist instead of a thief. I didn't like being called a thief more than a conspiracy theorist over it.
Yeah, so
it's right what you're saying, Eddie. People who haven't got that knowledge come from a belief or, a taught point of view, don't they? And that analogy goes through everything, what we ever talk about on here. You're coming from only a position of where you've got your information from. If your information's flawed, then your outlook is flawed. And if you're not willing to take in anybody else's information, then you're basically coming from a flawed situation all the time, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all got our own map of the world, which is based on what we've seen, learned, believed, been taught, all the way through our lives. And if anybody comes along and even suggests that some of that is fraudulent, untrue, who is it who said it? It's easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them they've been fooled.
Yeah.
And
put your mic on, Andy.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I just muted because I was shuffling a few bits of paper. But talking of the map of the world, it still amazes me, but we've got people listening in places other than Yorkshire, believe it or not. And I'd just like to give a shout out to Ricky Dwyer, who's listening over in Canada. And Ricky's been through a tough time this week. His wife's been very poorly, and I don't know if Marg's listening as well. I know she's supposed to be resting, but you look after each other, you two, and we hope Marg will continue to make progress.
All the best, Rick.
Yeah.
And a big hello to the people that are listening on Facebook Live as well. Linda Lauderdale, she's listening from North Wales, which I'll be going to tomorrow. I'm going to Connors Quay in North Wales. So
unlucky.
I'll wait to you as I go through. So big hi to you, Linda Lauderdale. We've got George Soros as well, who said that he's listening from Redditch. And would like some more on the Bills of Exchange as well. So he's.
I didn't bring it up first.
We know. Well, listen, mate. We know you don't anymore anyway. So Tuesday's guest should be interesting though. Should everything pan out okay, Tuesday's guest should be interesting. Tell us a little bit about who we got on Tuesday, Paul.
Hopefully, he's penciled in at the minute. He's told me that he'd confirm with me over the weekend, so it may get even to tomorrow because he does have a lot of messages to go through, and he's managed to get to mine a few times. So he's accepted the offer. He'd love to come on, and that's a guy called Daniel Bostock from Leeds. He's become quite a bit of an internet sensation, really, with a lot of his parody videos. He spends a fair bit of time in Facebook jail through some of these videos and that, but Daniel's been doing a lot of his work for quite a few years now. I've been following him on and off because, as I said, he's been in jail a few times, as in Facebook jail. So, and sometimes because of all the stuff that comes on my feed, it doesn't always come up, but it was quite interesting to see him, especially in his early days, where he was showing people how to get out of hospital car parks. As long as they stay bumper to bumper with the car that's paid, they can just get straight under the barrier. Simple things like that he started off with, but now he seems to have progressed, and he's, some of the videos seem, not a bad production videos, for him. So I'm looking forward to getting the chance to have a proper chat with him, Jason.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I mean, I've been wanting to get him on a couple of times. I've invited him on the show and not had a response. So in order for us to get him on, it's a bit of a coup, really, because there are certainly questions that I'd like to put to him. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I did meet him in Tom Crawford's, outside Tom Crawford's hearings a number of years ago. I was with Frags, I think, at the time. So, it should be a very interesting show. I'm going to have a look at some of the videos that he's done. I know he does sort of parodies and that, doesn't he? And
some are very funny. I mean, some people would find him controversial, but for fuck's sake, if you're not going to be controversial in the shit that we're in at the minute, then you might as well just, pack your bags, curl up, jump into the grave now, because, it's like all these people who are saying that they're offended by people. If you're going to think for yourself, you've got to risk offending people. It's a simple tit for tat. Anybody can be offended, and you've got your right to be offended, but I've got the right to offend you. It's not my intent, but if you make it that you're offended by what I say, then I can't do anything about that. That's down to you, isn't it? It's nothing to do with me. That's your own opinion, and I've got mine. I'm entitled to it.
Right. But when people with differing opinions can talk together to each other with like adults,
Exactly.
then we can only move forward, can't we? We can't move sideways or down or anything, can we?
No, well, it's like if you tell me that you've read something and you believe it fits in with this, and this, and then I go, that's a load of bollocks. And you say, well, have you read this? Do you understand what I've just been talking about? And I say, well, I understand what you're talking about, but that's bollocks. Well, you've not read this new information, have you? No. Well, if you're going to cut yourself off at not learning new information, that is basically thinking that there is everything there is that you already know. And if you already know everything, you're not going to learn anything more. And then that's like, akin to arguing with an idiot, isn't it?
Yeah. Adi, you've got something to say, mate. Go on.
I just think that if whatever your truth is, then you have to be willing to put it to the test, because if you take on everybody else's point of view and put it to the test, and it's still the truth, then it's still the truth.
Even in a minority of one.
Yeah, but if something that you see, hear, read, watch, whatever, makes you think and makes you question your own truth, surely that's progression towards what actually is.
But you have to risk offending someone, don't you? Somebody has to risk being offended by reading it even.
And yourself. And that's the point. You've got to be willing to offend yourself. And like I did with money, I mean, I worked in the finance industry for donkey's years and came out of it, started to sort of learn stuff, and then realised that I was the idiot.
That's what I mean. It must be, experiencing similar to myself, Ed. when you look at that, it must be a massive kick in the bollocks that you work within that industry, working with money all that time, thinking that it all that was like worth something, and then when you actually see how this banking system actually works, which is you could basically run it from your back bedroom. We could run it here right now because people are actually giving it to the banks and then saying, can I borrow that back? I don't want that amount back. I'll just borrow it in bits. If I can't afford to give it you, I'll forfeit my house. I'll give you my house. I'll give you whatever I bought with it, I'll give you. Forget the insurance policy. Forget that you've sold, that the mortgage deed's been sold on to reduce my fucking liability because it's not your liability. If you're going to forget all that, then you can see just how much bollocks this system is. And somebody like yourself who's worked in it, that has got to be a fucking whoa moment, hasn't it?
It was gut-wrenching, if I'm honest. And, looking at myself thinking, I walk around thinking, how stupid can everybody else be? But how stupid was I? I was the one that was supposed to be educated. On Thursday, I've just had an issue with a bank that I've been, because to me a bank is just a necessary evil.
It's what we do, isn't it? It's what we do knowing this system.
Yeah, and I'd had a couple of issues with my bank. And on Thursday, got an appointment with another one. To be honest, with the bank that I was with, I was fed up of picking the phone up and speaking to Simon in Mumbai, who didn't understand me. I didn't understand him. And then he couldn't put me through to anybody in England. So I had to get in the car and drive back to the local branch to actually find something. And I thought, I'm sick of this. So anyway, I found another bank that, they've all got the problems, but And I went down on Thursday, and the young girl that sat with me, who was actually really good at her job, I said to her, I'm going to be a complete pain in the arse, because I used to work in the industry. I know what you've got to do. I know what you've got to go through for all the compliance. Crack on with it. And, it's fine. I'm not here to do your job for you. Things have probably changed inside you. By the time we'd finished, she'd got about 4 different videos to watch on YouTube, was really interested in how money really worked, and thanked me very much for the last hour of my time.
So, see, that is why people like me and you stay in this system, because I honestly believe, Eddie, Andy and Jason, that looking at this system, there's fuck all wrong with it if it is run correctly, regulated properly. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's only one, when people say, yeah, but what can you do to change it? What's easy? Just stop believing in government.
Grow up, take some fucking responsibility.
Just stop.
That's what you've got to do.
Government is just a fiction.
It is.
The Tooth Fairy or Father Christmas. When people to me, you want to do away with government? Well, no more than I want to do away with Father Christmas.
Well, the way they've got us, it's like when you leave a kid at home on his own. If you left a kid in the house on its own, no matter if you gave them rules, they might tend to differ from those rules. Being a kid myself and things like I used to get up to. So I would, at this stage, the government are meant to do as we tell them. Yet all they do is look out and see a load of dead people. So there's nobody that can actually complain and make them do what they're meant to do. So that's like leaving a child in a house unattended. They're going to do what they want to do. And until the parents take some responsibility and come back home and say, you little bastards, then it'll change. But it's not as difficult. I mean, I can't speak for any of you, but the most difficult part for me 10 years ago was trying to learn what was going on whilst the banks, the courts, and the solicitors were ripping my life apart, stealing property that they had no authority, nothing to do with whatsoever, and using armed police at that. That was my worst point. Then the worst point was going through the anger, then the grief. Well, the grief first, then the anger, and then the realisation that, fuck, what can I do in this? What the fuck can I do on my own? 10 years ago, as somebody else had already brought up the bills of exchange, when I started to learn that, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't get it. I could understand it so easily, but how's this so easy? Nobody's learning it. Nobody's talking about it. Now I'm not at that stage, so I don't feel on my own. I don't feel as weak, but I feel strong in myself. There's no way I can go back. I was listening to Phil earlier on, who's the guy from Doncaster who's been helping homeless people. He's had a fair bit of shit for helping people, and it was seeing somebody going through all that turmoil, and I'd been through that turmoil, and you come out with, it doesn't matter what you fucking do to me, I just know. And he said you can't plug back into the Matrix and go back to sleep. Wouldn't it be nice to go back to EastEnders and Coronation Street and then get up and do fucking work all again? Me personally, no, it wouldn't. I couldn't plug back in, but some people given the option, I would not doubt. In fact, I'm sure there's some prominent people that have disappeared from whatever this is what we do and talk about that have.
Matrix.
Yeah, they have plugged back in, yeah.
And gone completely mainstream. I mean, yeah, there are people that are just simply disappeared, aren't they?
Yeah.
That that we can't account for.
Some have completely disappeared, and some have metamorphosized into another entity. But the truth always out, and that's what is coming out. You can't look at anything across the internet or the media now and not see the darkness that is being churned. Everybody, it's all there. It's all there for to see.
We've got a question in the chat room from John Hull. Hiya, John. This question, I don't feel that I'm capable of answering, but I'm perhaps sure that you between yous are, particularly you, Paul. He says, does anyone believe that the Bradbury pound is the total answer for our people? And could it work for us?
Do you want to take it first, Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that's money, the money that we use now is a claim check, or it's supposed to be. Just like when you go to the, you get a claim check for a suit that you take to the dry cleaners. They'll give you a claim check. That's originally what our notes were. We put gold, silver, lead, whatever, with a bank and get a claim check. And the American version of that was the greenback dollar, and the English version of that was the Bradbury, because it was actually backed by what we'd got in an account. So yes, it's got true value. And then of course we had the world wars, etc., when they needed to borrow. And of course then after that, our currency just became fiat currency. Whether we actually can go back to the Bradbury and be the Bradbury, or whether we actually use something like Bitcoin, I don't know what it will actually be. But one thing I do know is every fiat currency in history has always gone back to its true value of absolutely jack shit nothing. Once it's finished, to be propped up. So,
we're losing you.
You're breaking a bit up there.
You still hear me? I'm here. Yeah. I said something has got to happen, and whether it's a Bitcoin or something like that, or whether it's the Bradbury, I'm not sure that going back to something is the answer. Going forward into something that is either not centrally run, because for me the thing with the money is the fact that it's centrally controlled is the problem. If it's still a fiat currency for now, but it's not centrally controlled, like Bitcoin, that's fine. But the problem with it is it's when it's centrally controlled by banks and governments, that's where it all falls down.
What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I've heard one or two criticisms of the campaign to bring back the Bradbury, saying that it was only used to get us off the gold standard.
It was.
Sorry?
That's exactly right. It was used to get us off the gold standard. It was a stepping stone. But it is the last proper currency that actually was backed with any kind of value.
Well, it was used to steal all the gold, wasn't it? It was used to steal all the wealth.
That's right, yeah.
What I would say is, no, I don't. The Bradbury pound in In concept, yes, because it is like Lincoln Greenback, which is I think what Kennedy was going to be bringing back in. What that would do is Hitler did exactly the same. He got rid of the central banking system that was run by the Rothschilds, and the Rothschild banking system. You can tell what countries do not have the Rothschild banking system, because if they're not in bed with the Rothschilds, we're at war with them. That's basically it. Now, if we run the system as is, which is a debt-based economy, where we cannot pay for anything, it's impossible to pay for anything with the currency that we use, because every £10 note that we use comes attached with debt. And if I've got debt, and then I try and pay it with debt, I've just got more debt. So every time I'm being shouted at for being called a thief for not paying my bill, it's because I'm trying to lower the debt while they're facilitating the debt to get bigger, which means they allow the banks and the establishments to steal more things from us. This system doesn't allow us to even own property, but it's easily changed, I believe so. Anyway, with the right people, I don't feel I've got all the answers, but with the right people to speak with, I think we could all come together and use the exact system we've got with promissory notes that we've got, but it's still based on the labour and the toil and the credit of the people.
The thing, I mean, if anybody asked me to describe myself, I'd describe myself as an anarchist. And it just means one thing: stop believing in government.
Yeah, no rules. I mean,
so yeah, but what would happen then? Well, I don't know. There's 7 billion people on this earth. You know, I'm sure there's 6.99999 better billion ideas than I've got.
Yeah, I think that again, Ed, I think we could agree that the concept of government, not centralised, but the concept of government that can talk to all each other within this system would be key. But it's putting the right people in those places, honourable people with integrity, and not sycophantic cunts that are just taking backhanders to fucking sell people down the river. And I'm not mentioning anybody like Andy Bastard or anything like that, because I haven't got any proof of stuff like that. But he did nothing for my town apart from plant a few trees, eat some ham sandwiches, get his picture in the paper, and give us a fucking misguided bus route that now they're talking about giving us a fucking train station that everybody wanted in the first place. So it's just all about fucking movement. It's like a magician. It's like, watch this, Anne, while we shift all the wealth over here.
Well,
we had a comment in the on Facebook Live, and it was saying sort of we're now looking at Australian cricket balls rather than Cambridge Analytica, and we've got right. I'm going to stop myself because there was something I just wanted to bring up first, and I wanted to mention to Ada.
Yeah.
And Linda Lauderdale in the chat room, hi Linda, has posted an event, and I noticed this event, and I thought it might be one that we maybe should attend, and perhaps Daisy would like to attend.
Okay.
It's an event called Dying for Good Health. It's the UK column that are putting this on. It's going to be in Nottingham, and I think it's in May. May the 22nd. Oh. Anyway, May.
Is it the Albert Halls, that one? Is that the one at the Albert Halls?
Let's have a look. It's called Dying for Good Health. And I know it's a UK column thing, but I thought that perhaps it would be something, because it's about whistleblowers, NHS whistleblowers, and perhaps Daisy. So the 12th of May, at 10 o'clock at the Albert Hall. Yeah, that's it. In Nottingham.
I spoke to Daisy 2 or 3 times over the past couple of days. She's got some important meetings coming up this week, after which she said once she's got the results of that, she'd be interested in coming back onto Raconteurs to fill us in with that. There's been various information that she's been trying to get, and has just been completely and utterly denied from her. and she's got things happening this week that will hopefully see some fruit from that, and she'll be then in a better position to come back to us to tell her what's going to happen from there.
Right, well, if you tell her about this event, and if she wants to go, we can go and we'll cover it. We'll perhaps do a few interviews while we're down there to record, so we can put on the show and things like that. So if she really wants to go on that, I'm up for going to that. Anybody else that wants to go with us, but I just thought that Daisy might be an ideal opportunity for Daisy.
I've just had a look at the website, and the Albert Hall. I think that was where we went for the British Constitution meet-up last time we met in Nottingham, wasn't it, Paul?
Was it?
I think that was the Albert Hall.
Well,
but
yes, it was.
I did notice on there, tickets are £20 each. So I'm thinking... Yeah, it's a good idea, but I'm just thinking £20 is a bit steep.
There'll be a lot of people sat in the pub across the road.
Yeah.
I think that's where I was at that meeting.
I've not paid for a UFO conference yet, and I've been to 3. And my next one's going to be free as well, so don't you tell me that 20 quid's too much, because no, I won't be... there are ways to get into these things without paying for them. But I suppose they do have the costs and things, and whatever size the venue is, they need to be able to pay for the venue and
I think they're doing a good thing, though. I mean, I hear a lot of different people talk about UK columns. Some people say negative things about UK column, shall we say? But from my dealings with the quite a few people down there, including Brian, they've been nothing but honourable and people of integrity with me. So I only deal with people of how they've been with me. Everybody else has their own.
Still going. That tells you their integrity, right? They're still going. You know, we've been associated with certain things that are not still going, and that tells you something about them. So I've got
there's some really good people, Jason.
We first met Daisy, wasn't it, Aid?
Yeah, just met Daisy down there. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got nothing but admiration. Listen, I'm neutral on UK column. They're just a different organisation to us.
An information platform. That's it.
But the fact that they're still going, I think, says a lot for them. Really, because people generally tend to see a way through things.
Yeah, well, they have to be able to function. I mean, look at us. If we were to try and do their setup where they do news every day with a studio, that means we'd all have to be there. We wouldn't be able to be working at ordinary jobs. So something's got to give somewhere, and it's just thankful that there's a lot of decent people who are looking for real information, not soundbite information based on an agenda, but real information. And people will give towards that, providing they're getting something back. Obviously, people are getting something back if people are funding. And wherever that funding's coming from, if they were doing anything untoward, that will come out, no matter how many people want to throw shit at them. But people throw shit for all kinds of reasons, and I only deal with people how they've been with me, and they've always been of high integrity with me. And that I've dealt with quite a few people down there from years ago up to this day. He said, and I can hand on heart with the people I've spoken with, people down there who are in the BCG and the Constitution Group and Constitution Group UK column and that, they've always acted with me with high integrity. I've got nothing but praise for them.
Brilliant. Well, just another comment that Andrew K. Fletcher wrote on the Facebook Live was about how we're all looking at Aussie cricket balls and ignoring Cambridge Analytica, and I mean that situation in itself is hugely complex and difficult to understand, and I think that's probably part of it. But I did have an email from one of our previous guests, Neil Sanders, about this Cambridge Analytica, stuff, and it was quite a long and deep email. And he's agreed to come back on and talk to us about this situation. So Neil Sanders will be on in. I'm just negotiating. Just had a message just before we came on air today from him, just saying that he'd love to come on anytime. So we're just going to set a date and we'll get Neil on talking about that. Well, fellas, we've. I think how long we done? Oh, we've done 35 minutes. Got what else to say for this week? Or
Lee, put your mic on, Andy.
Yeah, sorry. I'd just like to read out a comment from the chat room. It caught my eye. Penny Tommy has just said in the chat room, "I'd love to have a pint with Paul. He's so clever." Absolutely, he's a top guy, and if you get a chance to meet him. No doubt when he's attending meetups and things like that over the year, he'll let folks know. So get along, meet him. I'm sure he'll be pleased to shake your hand.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Gonna get some T-shirts made and some little badges.
We've already got one.
Some webos.
Well, yeah, I'm going to be looking at getting a T-shirt made. I think it's an orange T-shirt with a big black RN on it, on the front. I think that's probably where I'm going to go. But so anyway, fellas, we've got a busy couple of days coming up, and then because we only do Monday, Tuesday, but we've got a busy couple of days. It's going to be 4 middle-aged white northern blokes, mostly from Yorkshire. Well, in fact, now only a quarter.
Mostly from Yorkshire.
I mean, you're from Lincolnshire, aren't you, really, AD?
Born in Lincolnshire, yeah.
So it's more Lincolnshire as well, so Lincolnshire and Lancashire and everything. But it's going to be coming live from Yorkshire anyway this week. Monday night, we've got... tell me again?
Owen Martin.
We've
got Owen Martin.
We've got Owen Martin on with the 4 grumpy northern white blokes. Heterosexual, I should put that in there, should I? So that people identify us as for what we are. We're heterosexual, middle-aged, white northern blokes. Go on, Ada.
Are you sure about the heterosexual bit? Because I can only speak for me.
You are very comfortable with your sexuality, Jason, after the bathing incident.
Listen, the thing is earlier on. Last night, Andy, I tried to call him on Skype and he didn't answer. And then he tried to call me on Skype and I was in Bath and I thought, shall I answer or not? I decided discretion was the better part of valour on that occasion.
Thanks for that, Jace.
Big thank you, guys, for this preview show. We're going to have Monday, we've got Owen. Tuesday, hopefully we're going to have Dan Bostock. It should be a great couple of days, a couple of great shows. Thanks, guys. You can see us on Facebook Live. You can get us on raconteursnews.com and Spreaker.com/raconteursnews. From me, from Andy, from AD, and from Webby. It's a big goodbye, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Andrew K. Fletcher, originator of incline bed therapy, talking to you